Family shares everything, Anna. Don't be so selfish. Sarah's voice dripped with false sweetness through the speakerphone. My grip on the phone tightened as I stared at my empty jewelry box, my hands trembling. Every velvet compartment, once filled with pieces carrying decades of love, tradition, and memories, was now barren. My grandmother's sapphire necklace, my mother's pearl earrings, the diamond bracelet my husband gave me on our first anniversary, gone. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Some of those pieces were insured, Sarah, I said, forcing my voice to stay even. And some were family heirlooms. Exactly, she chirped. Family heirlooms should be shared with family. And since I'm family now, I have just as much right to them as you do. Besides, you never even wear half of those pieces. I thought about the security camera I had discreetly installed in my bedroom 6 months ago, after noticing little things vanishing every time Sarah visited. The same camera that had recorded every second of her rifling through my jewelry box 2 days ago. Where are they now? I asked, my voice deceptively calm as I downloaded the footage onto my laptop. Sarah laughed. Oh, don't worry about that. They're safe with me. I'm actually wearing Mom's pearl earrings right now. They look so much better on me than they ever did on you. My mother's pearls. The last gift she gave me before cancer stole her from me 3 years ago. A flash of grief cut through the anger, but I steeled myself against it. Those weren't yours to take, Sarah, I said, my tone like ice. Return everything by tomorrow, or I'll take action. Her saccharine act cracked, replaced by irritation. Action? Against family? James would never forgive you for that. James, my husband of 5 years. The man who had spent his life making excuses for his younger sister, blind to the manipulative games she played. Ever since their parents died in a car crash when they were teenagers, he had shouldered a misplaced sense of responsibility for her, never seeing her for who she truly was. We'll see about that, I replied, ending the call. I exhaled slowly and clicked play on the security footage. The timestamp read 2:47 p.m. Right when Sarah knew I'd be giving a presentation at my medical conference. She entered my bedroom with the spare key James had insisted she keep for emergencies. For nearly an hour, she sifted through my jewelry box with meticulous care, selecting each piece with the precision of a thief who had done this before. She even paused to admire herself in my mirror, tilting her head as she fastened my mother's pearls around her neck, smiling like she'd won. A notification lit up my phone. James. Sarah says you're being difficult about sharing some jewelry. Come on, honey, you know how much she admires your collection. Can't you be generous with family? I stared at his message, that familiar wave of frustration rising. He still didn't see it. He never did. I forwarded him the security footage. Then I typed, your sister didn't borrow a few pieces. She emptied my entire jewelry box, including Mom's pearls and Grandma's sapphires. We're talking about $95,000 worth of jewelry, James, some of which can never be replaced. His response was instant. Are you sure? Sarah wouldn't do that. Before I could answer, my phone rang. Megan, my insurance investigator. Anna? Her voice was sharp. We just got a hit. Someone matching Sarah's description tried to sell your grandmother's sapphire necklace at Essex Jewelry Buyers this morning. My breath caught. Please tell me they didn't buy it. They didn't. The owner flagged it in our registry and stalled her while his assistant called me. We have security footage. I clenched my jaw. She wasn't just taking my jewelry, she was selling it. Megan continued. We ran checks on other shops in the area. 3 other pieces matching your collection's description were sold in the last 2 days. We're pulling footage now. I exhaled, my mind racing. James needed to see this. Another text from him. Just talked to Sarah. She says she was only borrowing them to show her friends. She's returning everything tomorrow. Can we just drop this? I typed back. Ask her about Essex Jewelry Buyers this morning. Ask her why she tried to sell Grandma's necklace. Silence. Then, 10 minutes later, my doorbell rang. I opened the door to find Sarah standing there, her face flushed with anger, still wearing my mother's pearls. You had no right to put cameras in your bedroom, she spat, her voice sharp with panic. And now you're making up lies about me selling anything. I was just borrowing them. James stood behind her, his face drawn, his hands shoved into his pockets. But this time, something was different. This time, there was doubt in his eyes. I met Sarah's glare with steady resolve. Take off my mother's pearls and tell the truth. The insurance investigator already has footage of you at multiple pawn shops. This isn't going away. Her hand flew to the pearls, clutching them possessively. These look better on me anyway, she snapped. You don't deserve these things. You're not even blood family. And there it was, the truth behind her mask of sugary sweetness. I had never been family to her. Without breaking eye contact, I lifted my phone and dialed Megan. I put it on speaker. It's time, I said simply. Sarah's face drained of color. She had spent her life slipping out of consequences, twisting people's perceptions to her advantage. But this time, she had crossed a line even her brother couldn't fix. The next hour played out like a scene from a crime thriller. Megan arrived with 2 police officers, her tablet loaded with irrefutable proof of Sarah's actions over the past 2 days. My bedroom security footage looped on screen, showing Sarah methodically emptying my jewelry box, trying on my heirlooms, and slipping them into her designer handbag like they were hers to take. Mrs. Walker, Megan addressed Sarah, her voice clipped and professional. We have footage of you attempting to sell this insured necklace at Essex Jewelry Buyers this morning. She turned the screen towards Sarah, displaying a clear image of my grandmother's sapphire necklace. Additionally, we've confirmed sales of 3 other pieces at pawn shops across the city. Sarah's breath hitched. Those shops weren't supposed to keep records, she muttered, then froze, realizing her mistake. James, who had been standing silently near the door, paled. His expression was a mixture of disbelief and horror, like a man who just realized he'd spent years living in a carefully woven illusion. Weren't supposed to keep records, he repeated, his voice hollow. Sarah, what have you done? I watched as years of denial crumbled in his eyes. He had spent a lifetime making excuses for his sister, choosing to see only what he wanted. But now, faced with undeniable proof, there was nowhere left for him to hide. Show me the pawn shop footage, he said hoarsely. Megan didn't hesitate. She pulled up the videos and there was Sarah, clear as day, standing at 3 different pawn shop counters. In each clip, she confidently displayed my jewelry, haggled over the prices, and walked out counting cash. The timestamps confirmed she had sold the pieces within hours of stealing them. Total amount received, $27,400, Megan stated. Well below their actual worth, of course. We need to know where the rest of the collection is. Sarah's eyes darted around the room, searching for an escape. Her fingers clutched at my mother's pearls, the same ones she had refused to remove. I needed the money, she blurted. My credit cards are maxed out, and I have obligations. James stepped toward her, his voice razor sharp. Obligations. What kind of obligations? She refused to meet his gaze. It doesn't matter, she snapped. Anna has insurance, doesn't she? She'll get the money back. I don't see why everyone's making such a big deal out of this. One of the officers stepped forward. Mrs. Walker, selling stolen property is a serious offense. The insurance company has filed a formal complaint. You'll need to come down to the station to make a statement. Sarah whipped around, wild-eyed. James, are you seriously going to let them do this to me? She screeched. I'm your sister. James flinched at the words, but his face remained unreadable. Where's the rest of the jewelry, Sarah? His voice was tired, defeated. For the first time that night, Sarah hesitated. It's in my storage unit, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Unit 247 at Safekeep Storage. The key is in my purse. The officers exchanged glances. One stepped forward to escort Sarah to the station while the other left with Megan to retrieve what remained of my collection. As Sarah was led to the door, she twisted to face me, her expression a mix of desperation and venom. This is your fault, she spat. If you hadn't been so selfish, if you had just shared, like family is supposed to. Family doesn't steal from family, I interrupted, my voice calm, unwavering. Family doesn't sell heirlooms for quick cash. You did this to yourself, Sarah. She opened her mouth to argue, but the officer pulled her toward the waiting patrol car. And just like that, she was gone. The silence that followed was deafening. James sat heavily on the couch, rubbing a hand down his face. I should have seen it, he murmured. All these years, the little things that went missing, the way she always needed money. I just didn't want to believe it. I sank down beside him, not touching, just present. She's your sister, I said softly. You wanted to protect her. James let out a hollow laugh. But I should have protected you too, he admitted, looking up at me with red-rimmed eyes. All those times I told you to let things go, to be more understanding. I was wrong. I was so wrong, Anna. My phone buzzed. A text from Megan. Retrieve the remaining jewelry. Everything accounted for except what was sold. We'll need you to verify the inventory tomorrow. I showed the message to James. He nodded, exhaling slowly. I'll come with you, he said, and I'll make sure Sarah pays back every cent she got from those pawn shops. It's not about the money, I murmured. Some of those pieces, they're irreplaceable. My mom's pearls. I hesitated, my voice thickening. She gave them to me right before she died. James reached for my hand, squeezing gently. I know, and I'll get them back. His jaw clenched. She's going to face consequences this time. For once in her life. As if on cue, my phone rang. The police station. Mrs. Chen, your sister-in-law is refusing to remove a pair of pearl earrings, claiming they were a gift from your husband. We need Mr. Walker to come down and clarify the situation. James stood, his face hardening with determination. I'll handle this, he said. It's time I stopped enabling her. I watched him go, feeling a strange mix of exhaustion and hope. Maybe after everything, this was the wake-up call he needed. My phone buzzed again, this time from Sarah's number. You've ruined everything. Happy now. James will never forgive you for this. I stared at the message, then slowly locked my phone. Instead of responding, I walked to my bedroom, where my open jewelry box still sat on the dresser, its velvet compartments empty. Each missing piece represented more than just stolen possessions. They were fragments of my past, connections to the people I had loved and lost. Sarah hadn't just stolen jewelry. She had tried to steal my history, my family's legacy. And for what? Quick cash to cover her debts. The insurance would compensate me for the monetary value of the pawned pieces, but some things couldn't be replaced. Some betrayals cut too deep to be forgotten. I reached out and closed the jewelry box, letting the latch click softly into place. Tomorrow would bring police reports, insurance claims, legal proceedings. But for tonight, the truth was finally out. And sometimes that was the first step toward healing. 6 months after Sarah's theft, I sat in a hushed courtroom, watching as the judge prepared to deliver her sentence. Sarah had rejected every plea deal, clinging to the belief that being family would somehow shield her from consequences. It didn't. The evidence was overwhelming. Security footage from my bedroom, records of her pawnshop transactions, and most damning of all, a recorded phone call where she sneered that family shares everything while actively trying to sell my heirlooms. The judge's voice was firm, unwavering. 2 years probation, mandatory counseling, full restitution for the pawned pieces, and a restraining order preventing you from entering the victim's home. Sarah stood frozen in her designer outfit, likely paid for with stolen money, her carefully rehearsed tears failing to sway anyone. Beside me, James sat motionless, his face a mask of quiet resignation. The past months had forced him to confront painful truths about his sister, about himself. And yet, when Sarah had called him, again and again, pleading, bargaining, he had stood firm. The defendant will surrender any remaining stolen jewelry immediately, the judge continued, including the pearl earrings she is currently wearing. Sarah's hand flew to my mother's pearls, her fingers curling around them like they might disappear. She had clung to them even after her arrest, insisting they were safer with her. A bailiff stepped forward, hand extended. For a moment, I thought she might refuse. Then James stood. His voice was low, steady. Sarah, give them back. Her lips parted, as if she wanted to argue, but something in James's face stopped her. With trembling fingers, she unclasped the pearls and handed them over. The bailiff placed them in my waiting palm, and as their cool weight settled against my skin, I felt the sting of unshed tears. Mom's last gift was finally home. Outside the courthouse, Sarah made one last attempt. Anna. Her voice was raw, desperate. Please, we're family. You don't have to go through with this. I met her gaze, steady and unyielding. The charges weren't dropped because this wasn't just about me, I said. It was about trust, about consequences, about respect, things you still don't understand. James's arm slid around my shoulders, not just a gesture of comfort, but a choice, a declaration. Sarah's face twisted as she looked at him. You've turned him against me, No, Sarah, James said quietly. Your actions did that. Get help. Real help. Maybe one day we can rebuild. But not until you understand what you've done. We turned and walked away, leaving her standing alone with her court-appointed lawyer. The spring air felt lighter somehow, as if the storm had finally passed. Back home, I carefully returned each recovered piece to my jewelry box. Some heirlooms had been salvaged, but the pawned pieces were gone forever. The insurance money sat untouched in our account, a hollow replacement for what had been lost. James lingered in the doorway, watching as I arranged the last of my treasures. Then hesitantly, he stepped forward and pulled a small box from his pocket. I found this, he said softly. Inside lay a delicate gold chain with a heart-shaped locket. My breath caught. Mom's locket. I thought it was lost in the move years ago. James swallowed hard. Sarah had it. His voice was heavy with guilt. I found it in her apartment while helping her pack after the arrest. She must have taken it back then. I ran my thumb over the worn gold surface, then clicked it open. Inside were tiny photos of my parents on their wedding day, one of the last keepsakes I had of them together. Tears blurred my vision. Thank you. James exhaled slowly. I should have protected you. He sat beside me, his voice raw. All those years of making excuses for her. Of telling you to be more understanding. I was wrong. I leaned into him, feeling the warmth of his presence. We can't change the past, I murmured, but we can learn from it. A week later, an envelope arrived in the mail. Unexpected. Inside was a letter from Sarah's court-appointed counselor. She had started therapy, addressing her kleptomania, confronting her entitlement. It would be a long road, but at least it was a beginning. Now my jewelry box sits on my dresser, no longer just a collection of valuable trinkets, but a testament to something greater. A reminder that love doesn't mean blind forgiveness. That family isn't a free pass for betrayal. That's sometimes the hardest but most loving thing you can do, is let someone face the consequences of their actions. James and I are stronger for it. Mom's pearls catch the light as I fasten them around my neck, their weight familiar and comforting. Some things are worth fighting for. Some things are worth protecting. And sometimes the most valuable gift you can give someone is the chance to change, even if they have to learn the hard way.